Well, hello and welcome. I'm so delighted today to have as my guest for this very important dialogue, one of my favorite people in Montgomery County for lots of different reasons, but Councilmember Andrew Friedson, who's here to talk to us today about how Montgomery County is faring during this pandemic, but more importantly, to kind of talk about what life might look after we get done with this moment in time. So I want to say welcome. So glad you're here to join me. And this is the first time we've had the opportunity to do this. We talk a lot, but being able to do this, I think, is pretty special. So I just want to ask you, how are you doing? How are you and your family faring during this moment that we're in?
Well, first of all, let me just say that the feeling is beyond mutual. I am so excited to join you today, or join you virtually, I should say, in our new normal. Here, we're socially distant, but we're spiritually together, and we're getting through the challenges that we face together. And I think this is just one of the many examples of how we are changing the way we do things, but we're not changing what we need to do in order to get through life and in order to move on with the missions that we have both at the college and in the county. And I'm so grateful to you and your team for your leadership and all that you're doing for your students, because the issues facing your students are really the issues that are facing residents in the county. They are no different. And we're all dealing with them together, and we're trying to work as collaboratively and coordinated as we can in order to meet the challenges that we face, recognizing that none of us can do it alone and that we have to all join together to figure out how we're going to get through it together. I appreciate you asking about me.
Yeah. I don't know if you're like me. So I apologize in advance to our audience because I've got the whole allergy thing going on. And while I'm loving the spring weather today, I got some really weird stuff going on here. So I apologize in advance if my voice fades in and out. And I always care about how you're doing. But I think you hit upon something. I think it's a really great transition to my really first question. How is Montgomery County doing? When you think about the information you receive, obviously, as an important elected official in Montgomery County, when you think about your conversations with your constituents, your neighbors, whatever the case may be, and your colleagues, how are we doing right now as a county?
You know, we're weathering the storm in better shape than most. I think that is the case for Montgomery County generally, but we're facing the same struggles that everybody else is facing. I'm really proud of the way that the county council came together. We moved with warp speed to pass a comprehensive package to deal with the crisis that we face, a $36.5 million COVID relief package, $20 million for employers, nonprofit and for-profit businesses that can receive relief. We realize that there are drastic but necessary public health directives that we are requiring, that those have real impacts on businesses that employ our friends and neighbors and your students. And we need to make sure that those businesses stay afloat and that they can weather this storm like we're all trying to weather it together, so that they're able to pay the wages that your students need in order to survive, in order to support their families, in order to be able to pay for tuition and to continue to move on in their careers. Another part of that was $10 million for hospitals to be able to meet the surge needs that we have. We have 600 beds we have to bring online. That costs money. We're moving faster than we've ever had to move before to try to get ahead of the curve, and that's why we're all trying to do our part to flatten that curve so we can catch up to it in many ways. $6 million for vulnerable residents. That's $5 million in cash assistance, part of which would go through nonprofits, part of which would go directly through the county to help families and residents in crisis, and then $1 million as partnerships with our nonprofit community, which continue to be some of the most important partnerships that we have to serve the most vulnerable and the most needed resources in our community. They really have, we lock arms in the county with our nonprofit partners to be able to provide those services. We also have $260,000 in that package for Manna Foods to be able to supplement and support the free and reduced meal program through Montgomery County Public Schools. We have about 50,000 students in Montgomery County Public Schools that are on free and reduced meals, and we recognize that now more than ever they need that support and that help to make sure that we address those food insecurity challenges, not just for the students, but for their families. Exactly. Any student that has food insecurity challenges, parents feed their kids before they feed themselves. And so we know that their parents are skipping meals and we need to support them as well. And then $250,000 as part of that package, which is specifically to pay for hotel rooms, a partnership with our local hotel and hospitality industry that are struggling more than most businesses, but have stepped up to provide highly discounted rates to the county in a partnership with our Visit Montgomery Visitors Bureau, to be able to work with them to provide hotel rooms for frontline healthcare workers who are the real heroes in this crisis, so that they can get a rest between shifts and they can be protected from their family, some of whom go home to vulnerable, at-risk family members and don't want to put them in harm's way, the type of harm's way, frankly, that they're putting themselves into. And I'm just amazed by the response of our healthcare employees and frontline healthcare workers, those folks who have stepped up, who are volunteers, who are not getting paid, who have expertise. Maybe they've retired, they formerly were in the healthcare industry, who've stepped up all across the state and sitting in Montgomery County. Those who are supporting them to be able to provide those services, and all the folks who are just helping each other. Montgomery County is demonstrating that times of crisis are moments of character, and I have never been more confident and felt better about the amount of pride that I have for being a lifelong Montgomery County resident.
I have to tell you, I often tell people that where you see a county, an organization thrive is when they are in the midst of these moments that really are character defining. And as you describe it, I constantly say, I am honored and privileged and so proud to live in Montgomery County for moments just like this. And we often celebrate the big things that we do very well. We talk about oftentimes the wealth and the economic development structures that we have in the county. We talk a lot about the safety net that we want to invest in. We talk about our high caliber educational institutions. But all of that is for naught, that when you get into a moment like this, and you aren't able to figure out how to harness all of those entities in a way to really advance the community. So I was going to ask if you had good news when you were kind of giving that status report, and all woven throughout your response were a series of good news that, yes, we are dealing with something that we've never had to deal with before, but what it also suggests to me is that we are prepared and we're responding, and we are tapping into the better parts of ourselves to do this work. And that to me is very exciting. And as a citizen and as a taxpayer in Montgomery County, it makes me very happy to hear that my elected officials are thinking so deeply about how they more tightly couple themselves with nonprofit, education, and business to help really provide, I think, a more robust response to the folks who live in our community. So thank you. On behalf of one grateful citizen.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt, and I really appreciate you saying that. I think one of the things that has amazed me, this is a time of crisis, and obviously one of our main jobs in government, particularly at the local level, is doing constituent service and constituent outreach, and making sure that we're bringing the council to the community so that they can get the type of support that they need and the access to the services that they require. But what has amazed me is we have gotten just as many people reaching out to our office offering help than asking.
Oh, that makes my heart happy.
That is Montgomery County personified. And the greatness of our community is defined by the goodness of our people. And it has never been on better display than it has been over the last few weeks. And you are absolutely right that we're being tested probably more than we ever have, individually, collectively, as a community, as individual families. And we'll see how we end up at the end of this, but so far we are meeting that challenge and meeting that test, and we're doing it because so many people have been willing to step up. Businesses that are changing their operations overnight to provide hand sanitizer and to create masks and all kinds of other manufacturing materials that we desperately need. We have businesses that are for free providing in a time when they are losing money, when they are at risk of going out of business themselves, are providing their employees first, all of the resources that they have, are providing free meals and other resources to our frontline healthcare workers, making deliveries. I mean, it's just extraordinary the amount of effort that has gone in and the collective energy that we are demonstrating right now. And it really is an exciting thing to see, as disappointing and challenging and frustrating and difficult a moment as we face right now.
One of the things that I note and remember early on when this first started, you were one of the first people to reach out to me to see how things were going at the college. What made you think and move the college to the front of your mind in terms of all the other folks that are out there and all the entities that are doing work? I thought it said something that, honestly, God, you were one of the first who called me to say, hey, how's it going? What made you do that?
Well, I understand, first of all, how central the college is to everything that the county does, economically, socially. It is a key part of the connective tissue that really connects the education system to the economy and provides opportunities for our residents. And so that, first and foremost, I just think very highly and know how important the college is. And so when something happens, I want to know how the college is faring. Number two, I care deeply about you personally and wanted to check to see how you were doing on a personal level. But number three, I recognize I'm the council member closest to the age of many students, although Montgomery College has a much different student body than some other college campuses. I am much closest to being in higher education than many of my colleagues, as the youngest member of the council. And I recognize that Montgomery College's student body faces unique challenges. Each of your students has a story, and those stories are amazing and empowering, and we get to hear them from time to time at the council. It's some of my favorite moments during the budget. Some of my favorite moments during the work that we do is to hear some of the extraordinary work, the way that your students step up and meet the adversity that they face, the way that they have to balance so many different things going on in their lives. It's not just showing up to class. That's not the only responsibility that so many of your students face. And so at a time like this, where we are flipping everything upside down and changing the nature of the way we're doing things, those who already are facing some of those challenges, I think, are most at risk and face the most challenge. And so I just wanted to reach out to see how you were doing, how they were doing, how your faculty was doing, because so many of your students, so many of your faculty, frankly, and staff do other things. And so this is, you're connecting to so many different levels of the county and so many different areas of the county, not just the powerhouse workforce development engine that you are.
Well, I really appreciate that. And thank you for what you said, because I know you listen and you care. So that means a lot. And one of the things I share with you is that so many of our students have really adapted well to the emergency remote teaching and learning, not only in terms of saying, hey, okay, this is a new environment, but they are thriving in those connections that they have both with their faculty members. But I also want to give a big shout out to our staff who've been just incredible in helping to support what's happening in these virtual emergency classrooms and also the support services we have both with our coaching and tutoring, all the folks who are working side by side with faculty to figure out how to deliver that instruction in very intentional ways. The other thing that I think has been very important, which you highlight so brilliantly, is that vulnerable students are only made more vulnerable in moments like this. So we know that a lot of our students, while they were grappling with technology needs as they're trying to figure out how to move into this emergency remote teaching and learning, they also were trying to figure out oftentimes, because they've been adversely affected by the economy as it right now, particularly working in those businesses that are not deemed essential and are closed right now, they're having basic needs insecurity, trying to figure out how to buy food, how to pay for rent, how to manage transportation costs, utility costs. So I'm so proud of our foundation, which has worked with college resources as well to really provide these emergency safety net dollars. So we have, at this particular point, provided, I want to get the number because I just heard it today, at this particular point, provided over $350,000 to students trying to help them be successful and to meet these needs, because that safety net is so important, which is why I love when you called out earlier the work you do with nonprofits, the work you all have done with MANA, trying to help those small businesses stay alive, because they're employing folks who attend Montgomery College. So I think that's really essential to us. And by us thinking deliberately about how we are also planful about what we look like after this moment. We will be forever changed as a society as a result of this coronavirus. But I think what's going to define us is our posture and position afterwards and how we're prepared to respond. So we're thinking a lot about our fall operations. Summer, we're doing some different things by offering 2 sessions, one completely online, and then the second one that'll be a hybrid between face-to-face and online. We're looking deeply at how we offer certain courses and really working with professional development for our faculty and staff to look at how we make a lot of our operations automated and to take some of those pressures off the organization. But I think this moment is going to be defining. I don't think the economy will be the same, even if we think about the recession a few years ago, the Great Recession as it's often called. This is very different, and it's going to feel different, and habits are going to be different, and this will not be the last pandemic that we experience probably in our lifetimes. So I'm interested when you, as someone who is a very important member of the economic and workforce development functions of our council and provide oversight in that in your committee work, I'm really interested to understand how you are thinking about how Montgomery County recovers after this. And the conjoined question with that, because I know that the college can and should play a role in it as an anchor institution. What do you hope to see us do to help with that? So what's the economy to look like after this, and how can the college be a part of the solutions?
Well, it's first of all, thank you for everything that you're doing. The foundation has done. The level of adaptability that you have shown, I think, is a model for all of us. And I think that we really need to step up and find it. And people are noticing. The Washington Post noticed. Others have noticed that higher education is changing, and Montgomery College is at the forefront of some of those changes. And we need to change too. And county government is no different. The economy is going to change, and we're going to have to change it. You know, there's no doubt this is going to change us. I think with change, you have 3 options. You can ignore it, you can fight it, or you can adapt to it. And we have to adapt to it. You're doing that already, and you're going to continue to do that. And we need to do that in the county. The adversity breeds ingenuity, and we need to start to, really think through what that looks like. I know you've begun that. You're a little more nimble than we are at the county, but we're pushing along as best as we can. And the private sector, nonprofits and for-profit businesses, I think are really going to push us in the right direction and the needs of our residents as well. I agree with you. I think this is a watershed moment for us. I think we have to choose what we do with it, but I think it creates some opportunities. I'll give you some small examples. If you had asked me 6 months ago that, whether or not there would be video testimony during the budget, I would have told you were crazy.
Right.
And right now, we just announced that this budget process is going to allow for videos to be posted that council members can watch and the public at large can watch. That is going to provide access to people who otherwise would never have made it to the council chambers. We did that because we had to, because you can't go to the council chambers right now, because the council can't even meet together right now because lives are at stake and we have clear public health directives that we need to follow. But the benefit of that is now we've proven that you can do it, actually, that things that people have asked for are possible if you're forced to do it. And so it has forced something like the council to change the way that it views participation. And, I've said from the beginning that our goal needs to be limiting presence, not participation, and figure out what that means. And that's what democracy is. It's about participating, and it's about who's able to participate. And so now I think this sets a standard for how we allow people to participate, including your students who now could post a 3-minute video between classes. Maybe otherwise never would have been able, between work and family and class, to have been able to show up at the college. Some do every year, but not as many certainly as probably would like to, and certainly not as many who have an interest in what the county council does. And I think we're providing that opportunity. In terms of the economy, good news and bad news. The bad news is this is going to be an economic challenge globally and nationally and regionally like we've never seen. And I agree with you that this is a whole different dynamic than the Great Recession for a number of reasons. And the speed at which the decline in economic output has occurred has happened exponentially faster than we ever saw, even in the Great Depression. And we have never seen something like that, and particularly now in a moment where so much of our economy is based on consumer spending. even once things get back to normal, there's a question of what consumer confidence is going to look like, not just in buying power, but in the willingness to be in public places, in large, places. And so, we're going to have to rethink all of that. I think it's going to create some disruptive industries that are going to change the way that business gets done, both in how people work, because I think teleworking will become even more popular now because we're seeing that you can get a lot done because we're forced to. And so we're going to see some changes to that. That's going to have a negative side of it, of what does that mean for office vacancy? What does that mean for property taxes, which creates the revenue that we need for the services we have? How do we adjust that? But the good news is, I think we are better off in Montgomery County than almost any other place on earth. And that is because, one, obviously we have the federal government, we have all of the federal labs, we are the center of science to combat pandemics and other aspects of the universe. There is no greater place on earth to study and to figure out these things than Montgomery County, with FDA and NIH and NIST and NOAA and you name it. I could talk for hours about all the different installations that we have. And having Montgomery College and USG and the higher ed system in Montgomery County and in Maryland working together to be able to create that pipeline to fuel the businesses that both are going to grow from this and are going to be created as a result of this, I think the possibilities are endless. So it's going to take some time. We're going to have to work through it. It's going to be definitely a challenge. It's going to force people to retrain what they do, to rethink how they operate. But I think we are going to be, in the long term, better off than most if we can take advantage of the opportunities that this adversity is presenting.
I think that everyone who's watching will come to understand why you are considered a thought leader and an influencer in this space, because I think you captured both the promise and the challenge in this moment. And the real key will be, how do we as a community and as an economy and as a sector choose to respond? And for that, I'm deeply grateful for your insight and perspectives, your care and your kindness as well. I was looking forward to this, and so glad that you were able to join us today. I want to thank our audience for paying attention, because I think these conversations have been well received, because I think it gives an opportunity for our elected officials to hear something that's going on within our county, but understand the relationship to Montgomery College. So I want to thank you, Andrew, for being a part of this today. I want to thank our audience. And I want to end by telling you a couple things. One, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Stay at home. This is what we're supposed to do. If you can do so, please do so. Complete the census. We know that is really critical for our community and our state. So please make sure you do that. And most of all, just take care of each other and yourself. All of that being said, be well. Thank you, Andrew, for being here again.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience, and have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Take care of yourselves. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.